Wireframes are the important part of any design process because they are the bridge between the ideation and the execution. They are great because they are simple enough so everybody involved can understand them, and also cheap enough because you can create them on the piece of paper or majority of design softwares. Hey there, my name is Alex, and in this course you will learn what are wireframes, how to draw wireframes on paper and use the templates I provided, how to create wireframes in different online tools, how to create them in Photoshop, and finally how to create them in Adobe Xd, and then move on to high fidelity wireframes and prototypes. This course is for anybody interested in wireframes, and you don't have to know how to use these tools. We are going to cover them in this course. So if you want to improve your productivity, save a lot of time and money on iterations and create the products faster, then click enroll and I'll see you in the course. Wireframes are the essential part of every product creation, so whether you're creating a mobile app or a website, wireframes are the essential part of the creation of that product because they're essentially a bridge between the idea behind that product and the execution in code later. Wireframes are super easy to create because you can create them with different variety of elements. You can try different ideas out because they are super fast and super cheap. Therefore, they are perfect fit between the idea part and the execution part because you can jump inside and change things really easily, really quickly, and then for example, if the element doesn't work, it's a lot cheaper to create it in wireframing than in code, for example. Therefore, design is not done within code, design is not done within the UI part of the design process, it's done within the wireframing part of the design process. Because once again, it's really fast to execute, it's extremely cheap because you can do it on a piece of paper, it's extremely easy for everybody to chip in with their ideas, and you can test all kinds of ideas out right there on a piece of paper before you jump into production of your UI work and later on in code. Therefore, it's really recommended for projects of all sizes, for example from smaller projects when you are working with your local business all the way up to extremely large companies like Google, for example, to do this wireframing part because it's extremely easy to execute and it's extremely cost effective because you're not investing time and money into code and then iterate inside of the code, because there will certainly be plenty of that later on when you get to that part of the design process. But when you're just getting started with your design and you have all of these ideas jumping around in your head, especially if you're working as a part of a team, small or big team, it really doesn't matter. As long as you are doing this wireframing part of the design process, it's extremely easy for everybody involved to understand the idea and later on the execution. When it comes to resources for your paper wireframing process, it's really up to you what you're going to use in order to create those wireframes. You can simply use a blank sheet of paper like this. This is just a simple printing paper, and you can use it with lines or without lines. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to show you. You can use a nice quick drawing book like this. This one is one from IKEA, but you can use any drawing book that you want. As you can see inside, these are just blank sheet of paper, and you are getting these lines, for example, and you are getting these dots if you want to use them for sort of grid. But as I said, it really doesn't matter. It's really up to you what you're going to create, because wireframes are extremely simple to create. They can be created with freehand, or you can use a ruler, for example. They can be extremely easy to DI or extremely complicated, and in the later video I'm going to show you some web examples and some products that I created within my company of WebDonut with the help of some people, of course. And I'm going to show you different resources that you can see to be inspired and to use in your particular projects to see the differences between all of these different wireframes. Also, when it comes to actually drawing, you can use a simple wooden pen like this. So it's a simple pencil. You can use different shades of pencils if you want to. You can also use a pen like this. This is simple IKEA pen, but you can use any pen that you want actually. You can also use different colored markers if you want to give accents to something on your wireframe. So for example, you want to give different accents to the buttons. Let's say your client has blue buttons on their website. Maybe you want to use a blue marker. Perhaps you can use a green marker for images and so on. It's really important to understand that you don't have to invest any money in this paper wireframing process, because you can really use whatever you have around your house. If you want to be fancy later on down in the process, then you can really explore and spend endless amounts of money basically on whichever ones of these different papers you want. You have different grades of papers, you have different shading pencils, for example. You have all kinds of different markers from light gray, let's say, to 30% gray, 50% gray. But the main key to understand here is all of that does not matter. You can use whatever you have around your house to create these wireframes, because as I said in the introductory video of this course, they are just the starting point of your design process. Because a lot of the times when you're working in the big companies, you are going to scrap wireframes really easily because perhaps they don't fit the UX part of the design process. Maybe the position of the buttons doesn't work. Maybe you have to try different sliders. Let's say maybe this form does not need to have 3 fields, it only has to have 2 fields, and so on. So you're going to encounter all of these different changes during your design process. So it's really important to be able to iterate quickly before you actually jump into software and start designing. So that's why I say it really doesn't matter which kind of paper thickness you're going to use or paper grading. It's really all up to you and what you have around your house to start with the paper wireframing. There are many different elements that you can use in your wireframing creation process, but some of the most important elements are basically text, images, buttons, and forms or fields. So those 4 are basically the main elements that you're going to use in your wireframing creation process, and then later on down the line you're going to combine them. So for example, you are creating a blog post or you're creating a card of some sort. So you're basically always going to interchange these 4 and to include them in your design process. Then you're going to expand from those 4 and create something like a slider, for example, which is formed of, let's say, image, text, and some pagination. So you're going to use the dots for the pagination. You're going to include perhaps different buttons. Maybe you're going to include different icons inside. But it really does depend about your wireframing creation process. Also, it varies about your client budget. So if the budget is small and the deadline is really tight, you are not going to explore wireframes in deep detail, but you're just going to put in some nice quick sketches to convey your ideas to your clients so they can understand what you have in your head a bit better before you jump into software and start designing. In the next video, I'm going to show you some different paper wireframing styles, and I'm going to show you what you can actually do with your paper wireframes. I'm going to show you some more easy ways and easy methods, and also some extremely complex ones and some extremely elaborate ones which include illustrations as well, because it really depends about you. If you are talented about that sort of thing, if the illustrations are going to be included, if they are going to be included but you don't know how to draw, don't worry, you can simply scribble something to indicate that the illustration is going to go there. Also, when it comes to wireframing, you can use actual text to indicate what everything is, or you can simply create some boxes, and we are going to get to it a bit later in this course, where I'm going to show you some different software tools which are using different elements, and you can basically have endless creativity. But it's really important to understand not to get bogged down with this wireframing part, because as I said multiple times throughout this course, it's really a bridge between the idea and the execution. So that's where the wireframing part comes in, and that's where you are going to start thinking about this wireframing part. It's just a bridge between the idea and the execution. So let's now jump into the next video where I'm going to show you some web examples about how different designers are using these paper wireframes and their different ideas and executions. If you go into Google and simply type paper wireframe, you're going to get all of these different variety of paper wireframes, and they go from really extremely easy ones to extremely complex ones. And I'm going to quickly show you these examples, but you can also explore whatever you want about these wireframes because there are literally thousands of different examples. So from this first mobile app example, you can see that they have all of these different ideas basically marked down on the side with arrows pointing, and this is really useful when you're sending this design to other members of your team, for example, or if you just want to remember something yourself. Maybe you have this idea at the moment but you want to convey it later on down the line with your client, so that's extremely useful to do. And as you can see, they are using text for literally everything. Other part of the wireframing process is this. As you can see, perhaps they're going to use titles right here. They're going to use paragraph right here, so a bit smaller text. And they're using this nice and simple box for the images. You can see right here they're using play icon, so perhaps this is going to be a video. So there is also this style for wireframes. And this is usually used, as I said in the previous video, when you don't have a lot of time on your hands, when the budget is perhaps too short and too small. So you're going to have to use something which is nice and easy to understand both for you and your client. Maybe you will have to do a bit more explanation to your client than if you're just using something like this, because you can see right here that there is nothing there. So perhaps client is going to get confused about what this is. Maybe you have to say to them, well, this is the image, this is the paragraph, this is the title. So perhaps you're going to actually lose a bit of time there than if you're just using this from the start. You can see a nice example like this. So perhaps they're going to use some different illustrations, different drop-down menus, maybe breadcrumbs, maybe they're going to use a website right here. So it's really up to you. You can see this example right here. They're going to use the text in this example and also some scribbles. So if the text is repeating, you're not going to waste your time. You're just going to scribble something down. It's going to indicate that that is the text as well. And you can see right here and the frustration from this guy. So he's using a lot of different screens, a lot of different elements, and that's really the key takeaway here from this wireframing process. You're going to do this a lot, especially if you're drawing on the piece of paper, because you're going to make mistakes along this process. You're going to make some iterations, some changes. So this is what you're going to expect from majority of your projects. Also, a lot of the times clients don't understand that they actually need few more additional web pages, few more additional mobile screens. So that's where this comes in, and you're going to have to create multiple iterations of each screen and new screens and new pages. So that's where this comes in, and you have all of these different papers at the end of this process. You can see something like this for the website, and this person actually included some drop shadows and some different scribbly lines, and you can see that once again they are using some text. So for example, you can see products right here, but for the paragraph they're just scribbling something like this. Also for the buttons, but they have their notes right here. And this is what I was saying about what you need to use for your wireframes and what you want to use for wireframes, basically based on your abilities and your budget. They're using different pen color to indicate what they need to do. So you can do this, for example, if you remember when you were in school, maybe your teacher used something like a red color to indicate some errors, and something like a green color to indicate something that you've done well. So you can use exactly the same principle and exactly the same style, but you can do that in variety of different colors. You can use blue, you can use whatever color you want, but basically red, green and blue are major colors that designers use because they are really simple and easy to convey to other team members of your design team or your design client. If we scroll all the way down, you can see a bit more advanced wireframes right here. So you can see that this person clearly knows how to draw. So you can see all kinds of different icons, different people. You can see a map right here. You can clearly see a nice handwriting here. They are drawing different icons, so you can do this as well, but just be advised, if you're on a tight deadline and on a tight client budget, you perhaps won't have enough time to create something like this. There is one nice example here as well as this one. So you can see they're drawing a car, they're drawing the process, they're drawing different icons right here on the side. So you can do that as well. As I was saying, in the equipment part, basically, as you can see, they're using a ruler right here. So everything is nice and evenly spaced out. You can see that these different paddings are even on each side. You can see a grid right here. You can see the icon right here. So as I said, you can do that as well. But as you can see, they are using exactly the same thing. So they're just writing description and then just some scribbly lines to indicate that that is going to be a paragraph on that page. Now you can see this example, and they're using this for the images. This is going to be the text. As I was explaining about the pagination, they are simply dots right here, and you can do this as well. So as you can see from just these few examples, and I really encourage you to explore as much as you want to see which of these styles actually fits you and your projects, and you can really make it as complex or as easy as you want. Or if the project requires something a bit more complicated, maybe you can involve in your design process something like this, so extremely easy, extremely simple, or perhaps something like this where maybe you're going to include a bit more colors and a bit more drop shadows or something like that. You can use markers, as I said, and you can see right here. And I'm going to include these printing templates, which I'm going to give you for this course, and I'm going to include different mobile devices and different shapes, and I'm also going to include one for the web browser. So if you want to use them, feel free to print them out and use them. Maybe it's going to speed up your process a little bit, especially when you have to draw all of these different boxes. It's going to really take you a lot of time to make these perfect spacings and to measure everything. So not to lose any time in your designing and wireframing process, I'm going to give you these templates which you can freely print out, and you can then use them in your projects. They're going to look something similar to this, but as you are going to be able to download and to see, they're going to speed up your process immensely. And later on, when we actually start with the wireframing design process, I'm going to show you how you can print them out and also how you can use them in your wireframing process. So that's basically it for this video. As you can see, just by scrolling down, you can see all of these different examples, different complexities, different ideas, different colors, shapes, and so on. But basically everything boils down to these four shapes, which I was saying: images, buttons, text, and fields. So you can see different categories right here. You can explore and go into a lot of details. A lot of people are doing this. So basically they are cutting all of their wireframes and then gluing them onto a wall or pinning them to some boards, for example, and you basically end up with something like this. So once again, depending of your client budget, depending of if you're doing this for yourself and just for yourself and your client, or if you're doing this as a part of the big team, so everybody have to be involved inside of that design process, it's really up to you how you're going to convey your ideas and how you're going to present them to your clients. Alright, so I want to show you how all of this works. Basically, I'm going to give you these four different templates which you can print on your own, or if you don't have a printer, you can easily go to a printing shop and simply print out all of these templates, how many of them you need, or you can simply use a blank sheet of paper like we talked about in the previous videos. So what we have here are iPhone templates, and you can see 3 of the iPhone templates with the spacing around these templates, so you can quickly add your marks or something that you want to say or to remind yourself later. Then we have a Samsung Galaxy template, we have a browser template which looks like Google Chrome with this bar at the top, so you can use this space below it to simply draw on it, or as I said, if you don't want to, you can simply use it like this, or you can simply use a blank sheet of paper like this and then simply draw on your web design project. And finally we have the Apple Watch right here, and because Apple Watch is too small, I simply used a lot of them, as you can see right here, to correspond with the remaining space on my page. And all of these are A4, but you can simply adjust them inside of your favorite program, or you can simply print them to be US letter size if you want to inside of your printing software. So how can you actually use any of these? Let me quickly show you, for example, on this one. You simply have to start drawing, and as I said, you can use any pen or paper that you want or you need. Let me quickly remove all of these so they don't distract us. So as I said, you can simply use any piece of paper, any pen that you want or that you like. And as you saw in the video which I showed you previously with all of these different examples of how people are using these wireframes and drawing on them, I will repeat that once again. You can make this as simple or as complex as you want, and it really is up to you, up to your talent, up to your time, up to client's time, and of course client's budget. Because I just want to quickly mention that one more time. You don't want to lose too much time on this part of the process, because the actual design part of the process, once you get to your favorite software, is what is going to take a lot of time. So wireframings are just that bridge between the ideation part and the execution part. So I'm going to show you a few different methods here. So for the image, you can simply draw a nice rectangle like this. And let's say that you have a text below it, so we can perhaps do something like this. And we can maybe show something like this for the title, and a few of the smaller ones for the paragraph below. And finally for the button, maybe we can add a rounded button, so something like this perhaps. And that's basically your card, let's call it like that. Then, next level, you can do exactly the same thing, but for example, maybe you can add a nice illustration, let's say a mountain and a sun or something like that, and perhaps people can then understand a little bit better that this is the actual image. Then perhaps maybe we can add a title, like so. Maybe we can add a paragraph, like so. And maybe we can add a button right here, so exactly the same thing like we did right here. But we are going to type in, for example, BTN, so people actually know that it is a button in question. Then after that, perhaps you can add a new one. But for this one, perhaps if you want to add an image of a mountain here, you can perhaps add your own sketch. So maybe you can draw something like this, maybe something like this. Maybe we can add a sun here, maybe we can add some trees. So as I said, all of this requires your time, because you saw how much faster we draw this one. Same is with this one, but this one is taking us a lot of time. So as I said, it's really up to you and up to client's budget. Perhaps you don't know how to draw, maybe you don't want to draw, so perhaps you can adjust all of these different styles to what best suits you, as well as your client and your project. So here maybe we can add, let's say, Yellowstone Park, and here we are going to write the entire paragraph, so I'm not going to do that. And finally, right here, maybe we can put in a learn more. And maybe I can even add a drop shadow behind this button, so that I know later on in the design that I'm going to use this drop shadow. So you can see just with these three styles how different they are, how much faster is this as well as this, while this one takes a lot of time and a lot of exploration, especially if you're drawing characters, for example. So you need to create, let's say, a male and a female character, maybe a child character. So that is going to take a lot of time than simply putting in an icon like this. As you can see, it's a lot faster, it's a lot simpler, and all of you in the team are going to understand that this is actually a person icon. As for the entire layout goes, let me quickly flip this page. I'm going to put all of this below, like so. For the entire layout, maybe you can use something like this. So maybe we can go with the first style, which I showed you, which is this one, which is the most easy one to understand and to draw. So let's say we're going to create a web page and we need something like this. So let's create a hero image right here, and inside of the hero image let's put a nice big title right here. Let's put a paragraph right here. Let's put a button right here, and maybe we can put a nice big image right here so that we know that this is the image. Maybe we can add a navigation right here, so I usually like to put in a circle, maybe put in a few of these lines like so, and maybe I can put in a search right here at the top. And I can call it hero with, let's say, color BG, which is a hero image with a color background over it. Then below that, maybe we can put in a nice big title, so something like this, maybe with a paragraph below it, and maybe I can include some features right here. Maybe I can add the name of the feature, like so, and perhaps maybe I can include some kind of icon right here. So maybe I can just put in a star for now, so that I know that these are the icons which are going to come right here. And below here, maybe we can include some paragraph. So you can see how easy this is. And I can simply put in features here. And maybe I want to add some kind of a background shape or a background color or something like that. You can draw it in. So let's say the shape that goes like this. And I can simply include another arrow right here, another note. And I'm going to write in, let's say, shape, like so. Then below that, maybe we can include a video. So maybe I can simply include a box like this with a play icon inside, so everybody knows that that is a video, like so. Maybe this video shows features of this website. Then below that, maybe we want to include a nice big call to action. Let's say that we want to include a text, then paragraph below. Maybe we want to include a form right here, so I can even write in email, and then btn. This is going to be call to action, and maybe this is going to contain a background image, so bg img, so background image, so that I know that this is a background with an image, and I want to include, for example, a nice big title here, description of the service, and then email and a btn. Then below that, perhaps we want to include some, let's say, I don't know, testimonials. So maybe we can include a nice big image right here. Maybe we can include a title, paragraph. Then I'm going to include some arrows right here. And if you want to, you can add a pagination right here, just so that the visitor knows how many of these there are left and right. And maybe we can call it testimonial. Perhaps this next section is going to be a theme section, so maybe we can divide it into 3 cards, let's say. And maybe we can also include a pagination right here. So perhaps we can add a title and a nice big paragraph. This is going to contain images of people, then title, i.e. name, then their position, and maybe their social media icons. So you can simply replicate what you did right here. And if you want to remind yourself a bit later when you actually start designing this inside of the software, if it passes with your client, then maybe you can draw a nice big arrow right here and say that these are social media icons. Just so that you know a bit later on what they are, and this entire section is going to be theme section. Then finally, maybe we can include a footer right here. So this is going to contain a logo, let's say right here. Maybe I can even include it, and perhaps some menu navigation are going to come right here. and then OC, original copyright, and maybe 2021, let's say that is the year. So basically you can see how easy it is to create these wireframes and how easy it is to basically navigate between all of these different sections. So you can see with a bit of work and a bit of time, you can easily create them extremely simply, extremely easily, but just enough so that you and your clients or your team members know what they are, what they do, and what they should represent inside of the design process. So in the next video, we're going to actually start creating our wireframe on a piece of paper. We are going to use iPhone templates, which I showed you in this video, because we are going to create an iPhone wireframe for the imaginary app. And later on, inside of my favorite software, Adobe Xd, I'm going to show you how you can add some spice to it and how you can add images, perhaps some colors and some real text, which we're going to generate to create a nice looking app, which is basically a bridge then between the wireframe and the code part of the design process. So as I said, in the next video, we're going to take a look at how can we actually start creating wireframes, which actually means something, because all of this I've done from my head just to show you some examples about how you can structure a wireframe like this. So I'll see you in the next video. Alright, let's now start with drawing our wireframe, and as I said in the previous video, we are going to create a wireframe for the iPhone. So you can print out and use this template which I provided for the iPhone. It has the notch right here at the top, so it can accommodate all the main requirements for the iPhone app design. So now let's start, and I'm just going to use these three screens, and obviously you can print out as many of these as you want, because your project might require, let's say, 20 screens, some projects require 200 screens and so on. And you can also use the PDF which is provided and adapt this to as many screens as you need. So you can have, for example, 5 or 10 screens like so, but I really recommend 3 because I found it to be kind of an optimal value and optimal number, because you can really jump into details and see as many big details and small details as you want. So let's now start with this screen on the left right here, and I'm going to create a simple home screen. So what I'm going to do is draw a nice big top bar right here, for example. I'm going to draw in the logo in the middle. I'm going to use the search icon right here, and I'm going to use a menu icon right here on the left, because people are going to be able to hit search and to search, obviously, and this is going to be sort of a timeline or a social media page or something like that. So posts from your friends are going to appear right here. So now let's start with the post, and I'm going to draw a nice big rectangle like so. And it's going to go all the way up to here to the top bar. So first on the left, I'm going to draw a person icon. So it's going to be the image of the person, name of the person, and obviously the time, for example, when this post was made. And I'm going to do the 3 dots right here on the right, for example, to indicate that you can, let's say, open up that for more information. Now below that, we're going to include, let's say, a line of text like so, maybe a description for the image, and below that the image itself. So it's going to go like this, for example, and let's say that we are going to draw these mountains that we were drawing previously to indicate that this is the image itself. Below that, we're going to have 3 icons. So we're going to have heart icon with the counter, let's say 125. We're going to have the comment icon, let's say 36, and we're going to have the share icon right here. You can use any icons that you want, and I'm going to simply type in share right here. Now we're just going to cut off our rectangle like so to indicate that that is the post itself. Now, rather than creating the second rectangle below, I'm going to use the tab bar right here and draw a nice big tab bar here. First icon I'm going to draw is home. So I'm going to draw a nice simple home icon like so. Then we're going to use the comment icon. So perhaps maybe this is going to be the chat portion. maybe this next portion can be a map portion, so where were your locations, where were you moving about, and finally a profile right here on the right. Now let's draw a second card here. It's going to be exactly the same as the first card, so we can go up to here. So we have a person right here, their name, time of the post. As you can see, it's much simpler when you created one to duplicate it basically and create other ones. Now let's cut off this with the image right here below, so we're not going to need to draw these sharing icons below because we don't have any space, but you can simply indicate that they will go right here, for example, like so, and simply type in share here. Now for the next screen we're going to use exactly the same setup. So search, logo, and menu icon. And as I said in previous videos, and you can see right here, this doesn't have to be perfect. It can be really scribbles, but it needs to convey the message for your team and when you're sending this out to your client. So basically what's going to happen in this next screen is person is going to be tapping this card or this image, and the image is going to expand a little bit in this next screen, giving us the more real estate on this screen to show the image a little bit better, so that we can perhaps leave a comment or something like that. So we're not going to have this frame on this screen because, as I said, it's expanded. So we have the same setup for here, same for here, but right here we have the bigger image. Now before I go all the way down, I'm going to simply draw a tab bar once again, just so that I can limit myself with the space that I have. And once again, these icons don't have to be perfect. If you want to save a bit of time, as you can see I made a mistake right here, but let's fix it. If you want to save a bit of time, simply draw them as best as you know, but basically all they have to do is convey the same message right here. So let's extend this image all the way down to here, let's say. I think that's fine. Round it off and simply draw a bigger shapes than you did right here to indicate that it's a bigger image, obviously. Now let's do these icons. So 125, this one is for the comment, 36, and finally this arrow for the share. And below here we're going to be drawing in a field for the comment itself. So I'm going to draw a nice big rectangle like so, for example. We're going to put in a smiley face just to indicate that the person can add these emojis, for example. We're going to write a comment, for example, and finally this icon which indicates send or post, however you want. And that's basically our screen. Maybe instead of this search icon, maybe we can include a back icon, let's say. So this is why wireframes are great, because you can simply go in and remove anything that you don't like. You had that white thing to buy in every bookstore or wherever you're finding your supplies to cover it off if you want to. If you don't want to, or if you're drawing with a pencil, you can simply remove the pencil with the eraser and then simply leave the space for your arrow. But you can also do it like this, because the whole point of the wireframes, as I said multiple times throughout these lessons, is to make sure that they are fast, make sure that you can iterate really quickly, and make sure that you can go back and forward between your ideas and bounce your ideas between you and your client. Now finally, on this last one, we are going to show the profile screen. So once again, I'm going to draw this top bar with the search, logo, and menu. And this menu can, for example, expand to a few different things, because, for example, right here on the bottom nav, we don't have settings, we don't have payment, we don't have any of those things. So that's where the menu comes in. Now let's draw a nice big image right here, like so. This can be the name, this can be the location, for example. Now we're going to draw in 3 tabs. Like so. Maybe you want to include different images, let's say from different albums, and this is going to be our selected tab. So maybe we can fill it in as well to indicate that it is selected, as you can see right here. And finally, let's draw in a few images right here. So maybe we can create a grid of 3 images, maybe grid of 2, maybe grid of 4. It's really up to you. You can use this Mansory grid, which indicates that these two are like this, and then this is one major image, and then switch them around. So really, you can do whatever you want right here. It's really up to you. Perhaps you can add in a description, maybe you can add in a paragraph about the person right here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to simply draw in a nice big tab bar right here at the bottom once again. So we're going to draw in a comment icon, draw in a pin map, and finally, because we are on the profile, we are going to fill in the profile icon, which once again indicates that this is the clicked state of this profile icon. So you can do something like this. Now you can see the difference between this one and this one, because this one is filled out, and that's what we're trying to convey. Finally, maybe we can add 3 more images right here so that we have a nice big grid of images. Or you can simply draw in a nice big image like this, then second image below, third image below, same like we did right here, just without all these frames and information. Now, if you don't want to waste time with drawing this, then you can simply do this to indicate that these are the images. Because as you can see, it's much faster, and because these shapes are repeating themselves, maybe you can simply do this and put in image. So your client or your teammates, for example, or you yourself know a bit later what this is. So that's basically it. This is the design that we are going to use to create it in all of these other softwares. Perhaps we are not going to do all 3. Maybe I can do just this once to speed up the process a little bit, because in some of those I cannot import these icons. Maybe I can use some other icons and so on, and I'm going to show you that a bit later in the course. But basically, this is how our wireframe is going to look like, and later on when we get to Adobe Xd, I'm going to show you how you can easily adapt these wireframes and how you can include some additional colors. Maybe you can include some additional icons, maybe that we didn't include it right here. I'm going to include some images, obviously, and so on. So that's what I'm going to show you when we get to Adobe Xd part. Now, when it comes to this part, once again, I really encourage you to try to convey your image as best as you can, but as you saw with this back arrow, sometimes you're going to remember things as you're drawing, and that's the main point of wireframing process, is to explore. None of this is final, none of this is perfect, because it doesn't need to be perfect, and it's really about exploration and about finding the ways and methods where you can incorporate these elements so they look great on the page and they work logically, basically. So they are easy to understand, they are easy to use, and they look great on the page. That's basically it for this wireframing part on the paper. I really encourage you to start exploring it. It can be a lot of fun, and it can be really fast process to learn more about your design and the entire process of your app before you even jump into your favorite software. Speaking of software, in the next lesson we are going to start exploring some of these free and paid options, and later on I'm going to show you how you can do this in Adobe Xd and include different images and include different colors, maybe even some borders or background shadows, and we're going to explore that part later on in the course. So I'll see you in the next lesson. In this section of the course, we are going to explore digital wireframing tools and what are digital wireframing options that you might have. Now, there are many different options out there, but I'm just going to give you 4 different tools: Photoshop, and then we are going to finish in Adobe Xd. You can also use Figma, you can also use Sketch, and there are many other tools like Illustrator, for example, and so on. So you can use any tools that you might find suitable for your needs, your projects, and your business. As I said multiple times in a paper wireframing part of this course, I really adore Adobe Xd because of its versatility and its functionality, and that's what I choose for my wireframing and for my UI and UX work, but you may choose whatever you might find suitable for you. Now, tools we are going to explore apart from Photoshop and Adobe Xd are wireframe.cc, Just in Mind, Mock Plus, and Balsamic at the end. So we are going to basically explore all of these tools, and I'm going to show you all of them have free versions and some of them have premium versions, but I think all of them have premium versions. But you can start with all of them for free. You can explore them and see if they are a right fit for you, or if not, you can simply explore some of these Adobe tools, Figma or Sketch. So let's get started. First tool we are going to explore is Wireframe CC, and it's first because it's the most limited of them all. Now, when it comes to Wireframe CC, you can choose your device right here. I'm going to choose the web because it's just the easiest one and the most wide of them all. You can simply extend it down if you want to include multiple devices, and your device can be as wide or as narrow as you want. So as you can see, you can do this, and you can even do this from the side. Now, Control Z should do you undo. But if not, you can simply extend it back like so, and it will snap into position and into place. You have some commands right here, like undo or redo, and you have some more options right here. You have these settings right here, and when it comes to saving, when you click save, it will take you here. So you have your public URL, which you can copy and share with your team. They can leave comments, as you can see right here, and it's free for private projects, multi-package clickable wireframes, reusable master pages, PDF and PNG exports. So if this is a right fit for you, then go ahead and choose this and start away for free. Now, to start with our wireframes, as I said, it's extremely limited as a tool. So what you have to do basically is you have to draw these options, and I'm going to do this for our icons. Then I'm going to draw something like this, and as you can see, you can choose the text option, and I'm going to simply type in logo if you remember what we did before, and I'm going to click on this one, hit Ctrl C and then Ctrl V to copy and paste, and I'm going to use this for our menu option. So you can see how limited it is. Basically, you don't have any options, at least none the ones which I founded, that you can perhaps position icons inside, position images and so on. But as I said, some people may find it easy to understand and easy to use. So that's basically what you can use it for. So let's now just simply align this and not to waste any more time. This grid is a great option, but you can do this, for example. And let's do this. Let's include an image because that's going to be the image of our person. And let's maybe duplicate this text, and maybe we can position it here and call it a name. And you can reduce the size of this text like so. And perhaps we can do another one and call this time of post maybe, or something like that. And we can maybe even reduce it further and position it right here. Now we have one more icon right here. I'm going to simply draw a nice big rectangle. Maybe I can include it to be a circle or something like that. I'm going to position it here. Then below that we have the description of our image. So I'm going to simply draw a nice big rectangle like this, include a text, and that's going to be the description of our image basically. Then below that, maybe I can include the image itself, so something like this. Simply click on the image. As you can see, some of these tools are really easy to use, while other ones are really complicated. Now for the icons, maybe we can use this shape and perhaps position this to be right here. Maybe I can hold my shift key or something like that and position it here. Then maybe I can copy it. So simply click on it if it wants to click. As you can see, it's extremely annoying. So maybe I can select it like so. Control C, Control V to make a duplicate of it. I'm going to position it right around here. Then Control V one more time for another duplicate. And this is going to be basically heart. This is going to be comment, and this is going to be share. Now you can use the text you saw, but I'm not going to bother you with that. And one final thing that I want to do is simply draw a nice big rectangle around it all. So something like this. And I can position this rectangle to be somewhere around here, maybe like this. And you can click right here where it says arrange elements, and you can send this element to back. And then you can play around with all of these additional elements, and you can reposition them however you want to make sure that everything is in the center, like this. You can click here to remove this line of text so it fits. And we're going to maybe position this like so. Maybe we can move this about. I can click right here, position this right here, for example, and that's basically it for this shape. Now you can simply select all of these like so, hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V to have a duplicate of it, like so, because if you remember from our paper wireframe, that's what we did. And perhaps maybe we can select all of these. Let's see if it works. It doesn't. So you have to basically select all of them to move them. As I said multiple times, it's really complicated, unnecessary, and it's really boring to do all of these things. But basically, if you want something which is extremely simple as this tool really is, then you can do get away with this tool. Now, one final thing that I want to show you here is how can we add our icons right here at the bottom. As you can see, there is some weird thing going on right here, but let me quickly adjust it like so. Maybe I can bring this even further like this. And for the icons at the bottom, maybe I can just use some of these circles. Maybe I can position it right around here. Hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V a few more times like this. And I can have my 4 icons at the bottom. Something like this. Then maybe I can select them all, and you can see that it wants to create a new shape. It doesn't let you select those shapes. So as I said, it's extremely complicated to navigate, but once again, it's free. And as you can see, we have done and completed our mockup. So basically you will have to do a lot of explaining here, because as I said, you cannot include any icons or images or something like this. But as you can see, it does the job. So if you want to explore something like this, wireframe.cc, and I will put the link in the PDF to all of these tools, all of the resources which I'm going to use in this course, so you can simply access them with a click. So Wireframe CC is a first tool, and in the next video we are going to move on to the next tool so that we can explore some additional tools that we can use for online wireframing. So I'll see you there. Next tool we are going to use is Mock Plus. And you can see that you can use it for free for 15 days before you purchase. So if you're not interested in this, maybe you should find some additional free versions or free other software. But let me quickly show you what it offers. So you can see it has fast integration. You can use it for prototyping. You can use it to include images. So it's much more elaborate than the previous tool which I showed you. So when you download and install this on your machine, here is what you're going to get. So you can choose whichever device you want to create your wireframes for. You can simply click create, and this is what you're going to get. So let me quickly hide this. So here is what it looks like. So right here on the left, you can choose these predefined components, and you can click right here on these extension. You can choose whichever layout you want. So as you can see, it's extremely complex, extremely complicated, but it doesn't need to be. You can simply draw however you want. So here we have a navigation bar. So perhaps I can drag and drop it right here, but it's showing me the Android navigation bar, and I want the iOS navigation bar. So if you don't want to use it, then you don't have to. But as you can see, we have the action bar right here, and this is what we are going to use. So instead of action bar, maybe I can type in a logo right here, press enter or return, and this is what we are going to get. And if you have any additional icons which you can use, either PNG or SVG, you can drag and drop your icon right here. So you can simply double click right here and open this up. You can also click right here to see these additional layers and so on. but you can see we have the action bar right here, and we have all of these additional settings. So you can even change your text name right here. So you can change icon color right here. You can choose the fonts, you can choose the color of the background and so on. So you have all of these different styles. So you can click on these additional styles to see whichever one you want to use, as you can see right here. Let's keep exploring and find some additional things that we can include. So we have all of these static elements, as you can see right here. We have the charts, we have the markups. So if you want to draw something and then share it with your team, you can do that as well. So you can simply drag and drop whatever you want inside. And here we have the icon. And perhaps I can position it somewhere around here, but I don't want the icon, so I can simply hit delete. What I want is the image, so I can drag and drop it inside. You can hold your shift key and position it right around here, because that's going to be a person image. Then let's drag and drop some text right here. And for the label, maybe we can include a name of person somewhere around here. You can hit Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V one more time, same like the other tool, maybe time of post, something like that. And you can hold your shift key to reposition them. So already this tool is a lot better than the previous tool, because you have a lot more control over these features. So this is going to be a description of our image right around here. And below that, it's going to contain the image itself. So simply drag and drop your image right here. And perhaps I can reposition it to be somewhere around here, let's say, like that. And now we have to include some additional icons. So when I click right here, you see we have all of these icons. So if you remember, we had the heart, we had the comment, and we have the share icon. So let's search for heart. Here it is. And it already populated inside. Now what we need is a text, but before we move on to that, let's include other ones. So comments, chat box, here it is. But don't prompt me about this again. So here is the comment right here, and we need to include additional icons. So let's search for the heart. As you saw, you're going to get all of these additional pop-ups annoying to show you that you really need to purchase this tool. But if you don't want to, you can simply continue for 15 days as they showed you on their website. So let's duplicate this like so, and now let's try with a comment like this. And now let's duplicate it one more time, and we are going to type in share like so. And now let's jump into the text. So you can click right here and drag and drop some text. So for the heart, let's say 125 like this. And you can duplicate it, so Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, position it here. Maybe we can type in, I don't know, 86, let's say. And for this text, maybe we can type in share like it is. So something like this. Let's make a capital S, like so. And you can hold your shift key to select both of them and give them a bit more space. And this is great because you can see all of this spacing happening, and you can simply select all of them and simply adjust them to fit however you want. So as I said, this tool is already a better tool than the previous one which I showed you, but if you don't want to pay for it, you can simply use the previous one or find additional tools which you want to use. Now we need an icon like this right here. Maybe we can use this one, but not to bother you and waste any more of your time. Let's simply select all of these and see if we can group them like this. So simply hit Ctrl+G and it's going to group them, and you can rename your group like this. And for the name of the group, maybe we can type in, for example, image 1 like this. and perhaps maybe we can duplicate that one. So we can copy and we can maybe paste right here, or maybe we can even do it from here. So Control C, Control V like this, and this is going to be image 2, for example, like that. And there you have it. We have our layout ready to go, and you can share this with people on your team or with some other designers, and you can save it from here. You can export it, for example, as a PNG, and you can share that with your clients. But one final thing we need right here at the bottom are our options. So now let's include that. So now let's include our icons, and from here I'm going to search for home. Here it is. I'm going to click and I'm going to position it right here down at the bottom. Hit Control C, Control V to make a duplicate of it. And right here we are going to use that comment one. Like so. It's going to populate and you can align it like this. Hit Control C, Control V. And let's use map perhaps. Let's see if it has the pin. It does. And finally Control C, Control V for the profile. Here it is, and maybe we can use that one. So as you can see, this tool is really easy to use once you get the hang of it, and this free version can really get you there, and it can really help you explore this wireframing process in the digital form. As you might not notice, or if you did, I didn't create the frame around it because I think it doesn't need it, because it shows this light gray bar around it. So I think it's going to look really cluttered right here. So as you can see, it's extremely easy to use these, and it's extremely easy to work in Mock+. So once again, if you like this sort of thing, if you want to explore this tool a bit further, you can. And if we jump back to here, let me check out the pricing. I'm using this one, Mock+ PR, which is what I downloaded, and you can see how expensive it is. Basically it's $200 per year. So it's a lot more expensive in my opinion than Adobe's tools, for example. So you can use a suite of 2 tools, I think, for $19 a month. So that's already almost a lot more cheaper than this, but you can get away with a professional version of Adobe Xd, for example, because the full Adobe suite is a lot more expensive, obviously. But once again, it gives you a lot more options, but you don't have to pay for Adobe Xd either. You can use the free plan forever. Basically, you're just limited with few of the options. But I just wanted to show you that you have this option as well. So if you want to explore it, and if you want to dig deep into Mock+, there you have it. You can download it, and I will leave the link in the PDF file, which you can download and click on the link, and then simply visit this website and download Mock+ and try it for yourself. Once again, as I said, it's 15 days free trial, so check it out. You don't have anything to lose because it's a free trial, and perhaps you might even like it. So that was it for the Mock+, and I'll see you in the next video. Next tool I'm going to show you is called Just in Mind, and they have this free wireframing tool for web and mobile projects. You can see that it works on Mac as well as on Windows, and you can click right here to download it for free. They will ask you for a free account, and once your 15-day free trial runs out, you are continued with the free forever plan, and free forever plan just covers this wireframing tool, which is basically what we're interested in. But they have all of these other tools, so they have UI kits, they have, you can see, prototyping mobile, collaboration, requirements, integrations with other tools, and so on. So for all of that you will have to pay, but for the basic wireframing tool you are able to use that for free. So if I scroll down here, you can see that you can create high fidelity prototypes. You can see what it's for. You can include images, and this is what it's great about it, is that you can add these interactive fields, for example, interactive forms, and you have all of these pre-prepared elements that you can simply drag and drop and include into your own designs. You can see some companies which are using it. You can see how it looks like once you emulate it. So you can basically preview your prototype and see how it works. And it's for all those basic things, like, as you can see right here, filling up the forms, filling up some of these calendars, for example, and so on. You can drag and drop images inside. You can crop images, include different fonts, different styles, colors, and so on. And you can see you can integrate it with all of these tools, including Adobe Xd. And you can see that you can try all features for 15 days, and you can then be switched to free forever edition. And you can see the difference between free and professional here as well. I'm going to leave the link in the PDF file, and you can simply access it and then read all of these things. So to get started, this is how Just in Mind looks like. And as I said, you can import new from these files, or you can start with a new prototype. You can simply click there, and then you can choose from all of these different devices. You can go left and right to switch between the devices. Because I am showing you iPhone X example with this notch at the top, let's simply select that. And you can start with all of these different pre-prepared elements, but we are going to simply start with empty, orientation in portrait, click finish. It's going to start loading these widgets, and Just in Mind Prototyper and all of this I'm showing you in this video is a desktop application. So you have to install it on your computer, but the trouble is it's taking all of the assets from inside the software from the internet. So as you can see, it's taking its time to load, and I'm going to show you when we start creating our layout and we start importing our icons. It's going to take a lot of time, and that's, in my opinion, the worst possible thing about this software, is that it's taking a lot of time. So straight away you can see that it looks a lot cleaner and a lot nicer than the previous example I showed you in the previous video, but still it doesn't look that complicated. It looks familiar somehow because you can find all of these tools in all of these other softwares. So to get started, let's quickly run through and see what everything does. So you have your basic tools right here. And if you hover, you cannot see what everything does. So you basically have to click, and you can see that's a major drawback in my opinion. But you can basically go file, and you can export to document, and you can export to docs or customize document. And you can then you can save as images, and then you can share with your client and so on. And basically what you have right here is view on device. So you have to install their app on your mobile phone, and you can then connect this software with your app on your mobile phone. So you can directly preview it on mobile phone, and you can also simulate. So when you click right there, simulation will open, and that's what I showed you in their example. So let me quickly find it. Here it is. This is the simulator. So once you're done with your design, and while you're designing, you can always go back here and check it out inside of the simulator and see what you have done. So basically right here at the top, you have your basic toolbar. You have user interface, comments, sitemaps, scenarios, and requirements. As I said, this is just the free version, and all of these are coming as paid versions. So you have to pay to access comments from your clients, sitemap scenarios, and so on. Right here, you're going to see the items, and this is basically the layers panel, but just their own bad version, I might say. So right here, you have these widgets, and this is the main issue I have with this app, is all of these widgets are loading from the internet. Basically, while that might be a good thing for all of you with slower internet connection speeds, it will be a terrible thing, because it's going to start taking you a lot of time doing all of these basic things. But I think it's great to have this option. Just I found it to be extremely slow and extremely tedious. So what we have right here is some of these basic elements. We have iOS components, and you can see all of these down there, and you can see some basic iOS icons right here. So what we need right here is we're going to need some, let's see, forms and controls. Maybe it's there, it's not. So perhaps it's bars, menus, and tabs, because we need this top bar right here. And basically you just click on it, drag and drop it like I showed you in the previous example. We're going to type in logo right here. if you remember from our previous example, and I'm going to simply double click right here and delete this. And instead of searching for a search icon, maybe I can even do that. Let's scroll all the way down. Here is the search. You can simply drag and drop it into position right here. I'm going to nudge it in place just a little bit. And I'm going to simply delete this icon. Simply click delete. And then simply you can hold your shift key and simply nudge this in. You can see it's outside of the top bar, so you can simply drag it inside of the top bar. And now let's continue to create our layout. So first thing we need is an image. So I will scroll all the way up right here, go to basic. Here is the image. You can simply drag and drop it inside, position it right here. So you can see straight away, this is a lot easier tool to use than the previous one I showed you. We're going to drag in the text. I'm going to type in name, for example, or person name, let's call it that. And what's great about it is you can simply increase or decrease the size. So for example, let's use 18, but I think it's too big. Let's go with 14. You can go Control C, Control V to make a duplicate of it, position it right here, maybe make this smaller, like here. So time of post, let's say, just so that we know what it is. And you can select them both by holding Shift and simply position them in the middle like so. You can even go further and reduce this even more to something like this, and then position them right around here. And I think that's good. What we need right now is that menu icon. So I will scroll all the way down until I see it right here. And let me quickly show you. So if we go right here, you have this search, click there. And just check out how long it takes to find it. So I'm going to simply type in menu. I'm finished typing, and you can see how long it takes it to find it. And this isn't the icon which I was searching for. So when I click right here, click my backspace key, you can see how long it takes to go back. You can also click this X, but you can see it's going to start loading, it's going to start deleting. So basically the whole app is going to clog up. Let me pause the video until it cleans up. So once it does, you have to simply scroll right here to find the icon that you were looking for. So let me see which one it is. It's this one. So basically we want to include this more icon right here. I'm going to nudge it into position. I'm going to duplicate this text, position it right around here. I'm going to call it description of the image which is posted, for example, something like that. Then what we need is an image. So I'm going to simply drag and drop it into position somewhere around here, extend it to here. So you can see straight away, this is a much better example than a previous video which I showed you, but still extremely slow and extremely tedious to do all of these things. That's why I adore Adobe Xd, but we are going to get to it in the later video. So I'm going to drag and drop my heart icon, position it right around here. I'm going to scroll down to see if I can find the chat icon. Let's use this one for the share. And chat is somewhere around here, I think. Here it is. So drag and drop it into position. I'm going to click right here, duplicate this post. And let's use 125 for this. Maybe nudge it slightly right around here. Let's use, let's see, 84 for this maybe. And let's duplicate it one more time for this. We'll call this share, like so. And you can simply position it wherever you want. And that's another issue I have with these softwares, is that you cannot be completely sure where these guidelines are. And that's why I love Adobe Xd and Adobe products in general, because it's extremely simple to find them. Let's simply select all of these. Let's go to here. Let's go align center. Sorry, not align center, but align middle like this. And now they are aligned in the middle. So once we finished that, what we need is a basic shape. So I'm going to choose my rectangle. drag it somewhere around here, let's say. And here it is. I'm going to double click right here, call it BG, just so that I know what it is. I'm going to drag it all the way down just below my image, and then select all of these items like so by holding my shift key, right click, and then group in dynamic panel, because if you group it in master, it will create a master component basically from this, which we don't want. We just want this group, and we're going to call it image 1. Another drawback of this software is once you double click right here, you cannot command A or control A. As you can see, it doesn't do anything to select this text. You basically have to do this and then type in your name. Right click on it, duplicate, or you can hit Control or Command D, and we're going to position it somewhere around here. Let's say maybe move it slightly to here until it aligns. And that's basically it for our prototype. All we need to do right here is create a tab bar. So I'm going to go right here to bars, menus, and tabs, locate my tab bar, maybe this one. I think it's going to work just fine. Position it to somewhere around here, and because we only need 4, we don't need 5, you can double click inside, for example. Just go to the option, see where it is, hit delete, and then click right here, and then simply extend them to fill, like so. Once you're happy with it, you can simply rename these. So this is going to be profile. This is going to be locations. This is going to be, let's see, chat. And finally, this is going to be home. So we need to replace these icons. So that basically means let's go back and find these icons so we can use this one for our profile. Or I think I saw a better one all the way down. Let's scroll down and see what it is. So you can see this is taking you a lot of time. Basically, in any other software, you can simply integrate icons and then simply drag and drop them into position. Or if you have purchased, for example, an icon pack, then you can simply drag and drop that into position and use that. But with all these softwares, they are simply too limited for my taste, and they are taking too much time. Let's see, this compass icon maybe for locations, yeah, like so. What we need for the chat, let's find it. I think it's somewhere right here. Let's see, here it is. Drag and drop it, and because we don't have home icon, we're just going to leave this right here. So one final thing I want to show you with this software is when you click simulate, it's going to show you this in process and open up a new window. And here is how that window looks like. So basically you can click and drag. You can see, for example, if you have multiple of these, let's see if we can make that work. Let's close this. This is panel number 2, duplicate. Let's position it roughly around here, for example, just to see if I can show you that as a real example, like so. But what we need is to position toolbar at the top, like so. So this can go below it. And if we jump inside BG bottom, and if I see right here, transparency is at 0%, so that it stays flat. And once we click simulate once again, it's going to open it right here. And as you can see, you can scroll down and see where it's going to take you. Because this isn't fixed, and you can see some alignment issues right here on these icons, but because this isn't fixed, for example, I cannot fix it at the moment right here, or I cannot scroll past this tab bar. So as you can see, there are many limitations with this software, but if you just want something that you can try, for example, or play around with it, then you can explore just in mind. I really recommend that you try all of these tools and just see for yourself, if you have time, just how better the Adobe Xd and Adobe products in general are, and also Sketch and Figma if you like to use those tools. In the next video, I'm going to show you final one of these online tools, And then we are going to move on to Photoshop and finally to Adobe Xd, where we are going to explore multiple tools which Adobe Xd offers you. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to use and basically dominate your wireframing game. So I'll see you in the next video. The final one of these online tools which I want to show you is called Balsamiq, and Balsamiq is perhaps the most well-known tool online for wireframes because it's extremely easy to use, it's extremely easy to communicate your ideas with the designers, and it's basically a tool which your clients might use to send you their ideas. So perhaps they have some ideas, they put them down to paper, but they are moving it one step further with Balsamiq to create these nice looking wireframes which everybody can understand. And if you scroll down on their website, and once again I'll leave the link in the PDF file so you can check it out for yourself, this is how the wireframes are looking like. Basically they are like sketches and it's extremely easy for everybody to understand. You can see they're kind of fun and extremely easy to communicate your ideas with, and you can see some basic examples right here. So what you need to do is create a free account, and they're going to give you, I think, 30-day free trial, and after that you can start with $9 a month. This is how Balsamiq looks like. So once again, it's extremely colorful and extremely sort of like cartoon-like. So basically right here you have your wireframes. You can create as many of them as you want. You're going to see the notes right here, alternate versions. You can see all of these tools right here at the top. You have this toolbar where you can choose all of the different options which you can drag and drop into your wireframe. So basically what we're going to do is drag and drop an iPhone inside. You can see with the notch right here, and you can position it wherever you want, like so. What I'm going to do next is simply choose a rectangle, drag and drop it into position like so. It's going to snap on all sides and it's going to show me the middle. Next, I'm going to put in a text, so I can click right here and type in text. And let's see what we can do, maybe text input. So basically just click, it's going to position it right here. I'm going to double click inside and call it logo, press enter, and you can position your text right here. Next, what we're going to do is use some icons. So I'm going to type in search, click and simply position it right here, like so. After that, we can use menu and we have these bars. So you can simply click and drag into position, and you can see straight away how easy this tool is to use. I'm going to type in image, and you can see image file outline, picture outlined. I'm just going to use this image, position it right here. And once again, you can reduce the size if you want to. You can hold your shift key and position it like so. I'm going to add a text once again, and I don't need this. Let's see what other choices do we have. Let's see a line of text, perhaps like this. You can double click right here and call it person name, press enter. And I can Control C, Control V one more time, and time of post, like so, press enter. You can see how extremely easy and simple this is to use. And let's see, auto size, text color, maybe we can reduce it to here, maybe 16. Yeah, I think that looks good. After that, what we can do is type in more, let's say. So maybe carry it down, we can use that. Or let's see if they have those dots. They do. We can use these ones, position them to here. And you can see straight away how easy this tool is to use. I think this is the easiest tool to use out of all of these which I showed you. Next, we need a line of text. So let's see, line of text, position it to here, double click inside, and this is going to be description of the image posted, maybe. Press enter, and we're going to reduce the size to maybe 16 to match with this text. You can even nudge it up a little bit. Then we can use an image, so maybe this one, position it right to here, and then I'm going to extend it a little bit, maybe like so. I'm going to use heart, Here it is. Let's use outlined like so. Next, chat or comment. As you can see, they have this icon, but it doesn't matter. Let's position it to here and maybe share. I like this one. Position it to here. And let's see, maybe we can duplicate this one and type in share like so. Maybe I can move it somewhere around here. Let's do Control C, Control V one more time. This is going to 1984, for example. And let's see one more. And this is going to be, let's see, 125. Like so. And you can see just in a few minutes, I already created what took us, let's say 10 or 15 minutes to create in these other softwares. So this is basically the key. You need a tool like this to create these wireframes fast, easy, and to make them make everyone understand inside of your team how this is going to look like. So let's see, maybe we can use a tab bar or a button bar. Let's see, tab bar, it doesn't work. Bottom. I think this could work, but I think we need to create a new one. So let's use a rectangle, drag and drop it into position. So right here, like so. Then let's use these icons. So home, here it is. I'm going to place it right here. What we need next is chat. Let's use exactly the same icon as this one. So position it right here. Then map. Let's see, map pin, map maker works fine, like so. And finally, profile. Let's see, user, position it here, and then maybe simply nudge these icons left and right. And that's basically it. You can see how it looks like. And basically we have finished our wireframe. What I can do is simply select all of these and then make a duplicate of them and then do another one down below. So to group your layers, you have to select them because as you can see, we don't have any layer panel. So as I said, sometimes you're going to encounter some of these things. So it's much more important to deal with them as you work. So perhaps I shouldn't have created this like so. So maybe I can simply reduce the width of this text input like so. So it's easier for me to select it. So you can then hold your shift key and simply select all of these icons and all of these elements like so. And what you have to do is simply go right here where it says group, or you can use Control G. Then you have to duplicate it, which is Control D. And then you can simply position it right around here. And if I scroll down, it's going to cover over my tab bar. So basically you can click right here and send it to back and then simply bring it forward. And that's basically it. That's our wireframe done. And as you can see, it took us less than 10 minutes to create this screen, which is extremely helpful when you're creating a lot of screens. And you can see it's a lot of fun because everybody can understand inside your team or your client what all of these elements are, what they mean. But this still isn't what I would choose. I'm going to show you Photoshop next, which is the great tool, and it's always been a great tool, but it still isn't the tool which I would use for wireframes. That will still be Adobe Xd because of its versatility, and it's basically made for this stuff. So that's it for Balsamiq. I really hope you like it. You can check it out, as I said, a 30-day free trial. You can test it out and simply play around with it and see what you can come up with these fun wireframes. And one more thing I want to show you is when you click more controls right here, it's going to open this and you can choose between all of these different templates. You can see what other people have created. You can include different colors, different shapes and so on. And you can simply choose from layout, templates, tutorials, and so on. So it's extremely helpful. This tool is really great. And I really recommend that you at least check it out and see for yourself if you like it or not. And one final thing I want to show you before we wrap up, you have this share button right here, and you can share it with your client, so you can send them the link and they can check it out. But obviously you have to pay in order to do that. And finally, you can click right here where it says project. You can take a snapshot if you have multiple of these, or you can hover over here to export and then current wireframe to PNG. Or you can use a transparent background. You can also use wireframe to JSON if you're into code, which is great in working with developers. But that's basically it. That's Balsamiq for you. I really hope you like it. Go ahead, check it out and have some fun, at least until your trial runs out, because they have a lot of these different elements, and they can also give you some insight about what a professional tool can look like, because all of these elements, you can use them yourself inside of other software that you are using. So for example, you might not consider all of these different forms. So when you click right here, you can see all these different forms, and perhaps you can see some elements that you didn't use before, and they can give you inspiration to use them in your projects. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create that same wireframe mockup that we created in all of these other softwares in Adobe Photoshop. And in this video, I'm using Photoshop CC 2014, but you can use basically any other version. I'm not upgrading to the newer versions because I don't use Photoshop for my main work. I just use it to edit photos and to manipulate photos and add some text when other tools aren't available to do such a thing, because Photoshop is still the king of manipulating your images. Basically, what we have right here is a file, and you can jump right here to File, New, and this window is going to pop up, and I'm using 1920 with 1080 at 72 resolution because we are working for the web. You can simply click OK, and it's going to create that for you. This is what you see right here. I'm also using this screen, and if I jump right here, you can see it's 375 with 812, which is basically the iPhone 10 and 11 size for the screens. And I'm also using these icons, pick icons thin, and I'm going to leave the link in the description if you want to use these particular icons which I'm using. They are premium icons, but I will also link some free icons which you can find and use in your projects. But you can see I really like this one because it's extremely versatile, it's extremely well made, it's extremely coherent, and it's also it also has a lot of these categories, and you can basically use these same icons for a variety of different projects, and they will always work no matter what you are doing. Back to our work, I selected these icons from this pack. I simply drag and drop them right here using the move tool, and I'm going to use these icons in our project. I'm going to reduce the size a little bit, so let me quickly select them by holding my shift key and then holding my shift key once again, because I want to make them nice and small, because there is really no need for them to be that large. And I'm going to simply position them in the center like so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the top bar, same like we did with all the previous examples. You can click right here, but I'm going to click outside and simply type in logo. We can use Lato, it's free Google font, I think that's fine. You can simply use your move tool, position it right here. I'm going to click T and reduce the size, let's see, maybe 24, I think that's fine. Make it center aligned. Hold your control, click right here, move tool, and then simply position it wherever you want on the canvas. I'm going to click on my menu icon, and I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit because it's a bit tricky to select all of these. And I'm going to select them and then simply position all of them above my screen, just so that I can see them. I'm going to position this to be in the center of my text, and perhaps, let's see, 20 pixels is fine from the right edge. I'm going to rename it menu, because all of these icons are coming without a name, so that's a drawback. But basically, it's a majority thing with all of these icon packs to come without any name. So you have to rename them yourself, but it's fine because for majority of icons you will have to rename them anyway. I'm going to select my screen, position it to the left, Shift 1, 2, and then rename this to search. I'm going to position it right here. I'm going to position the menu right here, select all of them, click right here, and then perhaps stack them to the top and then maybe 10 or 20 down, so that I make sure that all of them are aligned perfectly like so. Now that we have completed that, you can see that this looks a lot nicer already than all of these previous examples which I showed you, and we haven't even started yet. Next, we're going to use that rectangle tool. So I'm going to create a rectangle. Let's see, maybe we can position it to align with our icons, something like this, and let's leave it here for now. We're going to double click and call it BG. I'm going to position it all the way down below everything except for screen. And now let's start creating our elements. So we're going to start with a circle. I'm going to call it avatar. Sorry, I didn't intend to change the name. So avatar. Typo right here. I'm going to position it right around here. I'm going to double click and use this same color. And I'm going to make sure that I nudge it, for example, 10 pixels, or we can use a darker color, so DDD for example, and I'm going to use DDD for this as well, just so that you can see all of these icons a little bit better. Now I can simply click right here, hit Control C or Control J or Command J, click right here and type in name of person, make sure it's left aligned and make sure to reduce the size. Let's see, 14 works well. Position it roughly around here. Control J one more time. This is going to be time of post, like so. And I'm going to select both of them. Shift 1, 2, and make sure that they are in the center like this. Just make sure to align them properly. And this is just me being a bit annoying with all of this, but you can, if you want to, just leave them without alignment. I'm going to position this right here, zoom in a little bit, and make sure it's 10 pixels, same like our image is. Next, we're going to duplicate this, position it right around here. This is going to be the description of our image. Posted image, just so it fills more of the space, like so. And I'm going to position it, for example, 20 pixels down. I think that works fine, like so. And I'm going to make sure that this, maybe we can show it with an outline. So perhaps we can use the stroke color for this, like so, but just smaller stroke, perhaps 1. That works fine if this is something that you want, because you can then have white background as well, like so, if you want to. And you can color your BG this other color, so I can simply hit I, sample, and I need to unlock it first, and then I'll lock it once again just so that I don't move it, and then screen can be white. And here we go. If I hit Control 0, you can see how that looks like. Now let's get back to our image, and instead of creating new shapes, I'm going to hit Control J on this one. I'm going to call it image, like so. And let's move it right here. So Shift 1, 2. I'm going to position it right around here, for example, and then I'm going to simply position it to here. Hit Control, click on my screen layer, press V, position it in the center, and now I have my image. And my image can be this color. And I can simply hit A and then click right here to remove the stroke. And now I don't have a stroke anymore. And I can even reduce the width a little bit more, so 320 for example, just so that you can see it a little bit better. And make sure that it's 20 down, like so, maybe even 10, maybe we don't need 20, like so. I think that works well. And finally, we are going to include an icon right here to display this as an image. So what I'm going to do is locate my image icon. Here it is. Hit Control J and then simply position it into place like so. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit like this, just so that I indicate that this is my image ICN. And I'm going to move these two layers right here, for example, image ICN, make sure it's in the center like this. If you don't like it to be this big, you can hold your Shift, Alt and left click on your mouse to reduce the size. What I also need is this avatar icon. So I'm going to hit Ctrl J one more time, and I'm going to then select it and move it. You can see it's a lot harder to click because they are too small. Position it right around here, then move it inside of our avatar, position it right here. I'm going to copy this like so, ICN for the icon to be shorter, make sure it's in the center like this, and there we go. Next we need to create these 3 icons, but before we do, I'm going to duplicate this, make sure it says 125, Ctrl J, I'm going to move it right here, make sure it says 84, and Ctrl J one more time, and make sure it says share. As you can see, it's extremely stupidly simple to create all of this in Photoshop, but it's going to be even simpler in Adobe Xd, and I keep saying that, but I really mean it because I think that is basically the golden standard, in my opinion, for this wireframing and design work. This is going to be heart icon, so ICN, and I really like to name my icons, because I truly believe that once you send this file to your developer, they are going to hate you with the passion if you don't send the files with the proper names, because later on when they start developing your app or whatever, they're going to have a lot of difficult time with renaming all of your layers. So like this, maybe 10. What we need next is a comment icon, so let me locate it right here. Here it is. Select it, hit Ctrl J one more time. I'm going to position it the same like I did right here. This is going to be comment, like so. Position it right around here. And let's position it right here. I think that works fine. Same spacing as with this one. And finally share, let's move it right around here so that it aligns. This doesn't align for some reason. Let's try it again. Here it is. And for the share, let's just include that share icon. Here it is. I'm going to select it, position it to here, and I'm going to enlarge it just a little bit because you can see it's a little bit smaller than these other icons, like so, and make sure it's 10 right here. There we have it. I'm going to simply reduce the size to right around here. And there we go. We have created our image. Now all I have to do is simply choose these which are left here. So we don't need image anymore. What we don't need anymore, let's see, we don't need heart anymore. So we're going to delete it. I'm going to select all of these by holding my Shift key, like so. Hit Ctrl G to group them, and they're going to be our tab bar icons, or simply tab bar. Then I'm going to find my home. Here it is. Simply nudge it right around here. This is going to be my profile, so right here. This is going to be map, let's call it. This is going to be chat, and this is going to be home. Next, I'm going to move that tab bar right here to be in the center of my screen. I'm going to position it down, so Shift 1, 2, for example. And then let's simply move around these icons just a little bit. Maybe like this. Maybe like this. Maybe we can move the profile like this. Then you can select all of them and simply click right here. It's going to distribute them evenly. Then position it in the center, and there we have it. We have finished this part. Now the next part is to select everything, and I'm going to leave my search, my logo, and my menu out of the way. This is going to be a top bar, for example. And I'm going to group everything else except for the tab bar. Hit Ctrl G. It's going to be post 1. Hit Ctrl J, and we're going to duplicate it and simply move it down right around to here. Let's move it, let's see, 20 pixels down, for example. And it's going to be post number 2, like so. Move it just below, and inside of our tab bar, let's use a main color. So let's use a blue color, 3EC6FF. press enter, just to indicate that this is the selected icon and that the user is located on the home screen. So that's basically it for your wireframing process inside of the Photoshop. It took a little bit more than expected because I have to explain all of these different icons and positions and so on, but you can see it's extremely simple to do. What you can do at this point is simply select all of these, right click, convert to smart object, then go into smart object, and from here go to file, save as, and then save this image as a JPEG or PNG in order to share it with your client or your teammates. What you can also do is start with artboards if you're working in a newer version of Photoshop, because as I said, this is CC 2014, it still didn't have any artboards inside, but from CC 2016 or 17, I believe, they included artboards. So when you're working inside of artboards, it's extremely simple to then export all of your artboards and to share them with your client. I really recommend that you're working in this sort of way. So just imagine that this is your number one artboard. Number two will be right here, number three will be right here, and so on, because all of these projects tend to have many different images inside included and many different assets included. So the more artboards you have, the bigger the project will be and the harder it will be to control what you have inside of that project. So I really recommend that you're working inside of artboards if you have them. If you don't, you can do something like this, and then you can export all of them as smart objects as I explained. Simply group all of them, select each of them, then group it to be inside of the smart object, then export every single smart object outside. You also have a file, batch export right here. I think it's in the script, yeah. And then you can batch export everything that you see on the screen. But once again, you will have to create them as smart objects. So that's basically it for Photoshop part. I really hope you understood how extremely easy it is to use in Photoshop and how easy it is to work in Photoshop. And you can see the result is much better than with all of these different tools, because you are truly in control of what you are doing and what you are presenting to your clients. In the next video, we are going to start with Adobe Xd, and I'm going to show you what, in my opinion, I think and truly believe that it's the best tool out there for this sort of work. And now finally, let me show you how you can wireframe in Adobe Xd. So I have an artboard open right here, and you can go to home and you can click right here to open the same artboard for the iPhone, or you can click right here and you can choose whichever artboard you want. And I'm going to rename it home, for example. And let's start like we did previously with the top bar. So I'm going to simply drag a rectangle. I'm going to use extremely light gray color, for example, something like this. Remove the border, like so. I'm going to position it in the center to the top and extend it right here and right here. I'm going to make it a touch darker just so that you and I can see it. Then I'm going to type in logo. And let's use the same font that we used in Photoshop, so it's going to be Lato. I'm going to show you where you can get Lato. I'm going to leave the link in a PDF file, and it's a free Google font, and you can use it however you want, basically for personal and commercial projects. This is going to be, for example, top bar BG, let's call it like that. Then what we need is a menu icon, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to position it right here. And we also need a search icon, so I'm going to position that one right here. Then I'm going to select everything like so. I'm going to move in a little bit closer, position this here, shift 1, 2, for example, to move it 20 pixels. Position this to the left, shift 1, 2, basically the same. And then do this once again, so make sure that all of them are in the center. I'm going to hit Ctrl G and call this one top bar, just so that we have everything nice and organized. Of course, because you have that notch right here, you're going to move this down just so that you can accommodate the space for the information right here on the top left and the top right, so time, battery indicator, so on. But because we are creating wireframes, we don't really care about that too much. You can care about it once you move in to the high fidelity prototyping part. But as I said, you can include that as well if you want to, and you can download a free UI kit from Apple themselves. Because they created it, you can simply use it to include all of that inside of your wireframing process. Next, we're going to create a nice big rectangle, something like this. Make sure it's in the center, hit Ctrl D, and I'm going to hold my Shift key and my Alt key to reduce the size. I'm going to use this for the image a little bit later. Let's use this color. Let's remove the border. Let's leave it there. I'm going to call it image, like so. And perhaps I can even hide it just so it doesn't bother us. And this is going to be BG. Make sure it's in the center and make sure to position it. Let's see, 10 pixels is fine from the top. Next, I'm going to use the circle. Make sure it's something like, I don't know, 60 with 60. Let's get some nice even numbers. Position it right here. Shift 1 and 1 here. Or you can use 2 if you want to, it's really up to you. I'm going to call this avatar, like so. And what you can do with all of these icons is you can convert them to symbols if you want, or to components. And you can then copy and paste those components later. I'm not going to do that because we have multiple instances of them. But just so that I can show you, you can hit Ctrl K and it's going to show you that as a symbol. Ctrl K, Ctrl K. And once I started, let me create all of them as symbols. And I'm going to show you how you can use them a little bit easier later. So you have the profile, you can simply drag and drop it into position and position it somewhere right here. And let me quickly reduce the size of it and position it right here in the center of my circle, like so. Next, I need the text, so T and person name, let's call it that. Make sure it's left align, make sure it's 16, for example, like so. And I'm going to hold my Alt key to make a duplicate of it. And let's give this, I don't know, 10, for example. This is going to be time of post, something like that. And let's see, we can separate them by 10 pixels, position this in the center, Shift 1, 2. And now we need that icon, more icons, simply drag and drop it into position like so. Make sure it's in the center and make sure to position it until it aligns with our background like this. And then 1, 2, so that we have the even spacing right here. If you don't want to see this to be too bright, you can use something like this, or you can use a bit darker color, perhaps something like this. I think that works good. Hit Ctrl D. I'm going to position this right here and description of the image. And we can use this to add it to character styles. Add this to character styles, and then you can simply click on this one, click here. It's going to apply the same character styles to this text as well. So if you want to have it look exactly the same as this one, make sure it's aligned to the left. It is. Now we're going to get to our layers panel right here. Click on our image, position it roughly around here. So let's see, maybe that's too big. 20 pixels down, make sure it aligns here. Make sure it aligns here like so. And let's see how much space we have. Perhaps that's good. I can even extend it up to here to make this image look nice and big. For the height, let's use 170 to make a nice round number. I'm going to include image icon, go back to here, move image icon right here, select my image, make sure it's in the center, and I think it does look a little bit better like this than the other way around. And I can also do the same thing, so I'm going to remove the border and include the same fill color just so that we have some consistency here as well. In the real project, I'll organize these layers a little bit better, so perhaps this avatar and this avatar icon will go to the top like so. Then person name, time of post, and this icon, just so that we can see that time of post and more, will go below like so. Then description, then image, and then this BG, so like this. Next, we're going to include these other icons. So you can simply click right here, and the first one is heart. You can simply drag and drop it into position like this. Next one is comment, into position, maybe in the center like this, and finally share, simply drag and drop it. I'm going to select all three. I'm going to include, turn off responsive resize. I'm going to hold my shift key and then simply resize them to somewhere around here, so they are a little bit smaller than before. And I'm going to make sure that they are, for example, 20 pixels from this, 20 pixels down, and then I'm going to close it off up to here. Then select all three and then simply move them up 20 pixels once again, like so. And then I'm going to select this text, hit Ctrl D to duplicate it, and then simply make some adjustments to it. So I'm going to reposition this. This is going to be 125, like so. Make sure it's in the center of all of these icons, but we can deal with it a bit later. 10, and move this right here. Ctrl D. This is going to be 84, for example. Ctrl D one more time. This is going to right and share, like so. Position it here, and then perhaps 10 pixels like we did with all these previous ones, like so. And you can choose these icons, like so, by holding your shift key. You can zoom in a little bit and you can sample this color, for example, to have them be more consistent, like so. And there we have it. We have finished our first card. So I can jump inside and I can move my top bar right here at the top. I can select all of these layers. Once again, you can organize them a little bit better, but in order to save you some time, I'm going to simply group them, call this card 1. And what you can do is use a repeat grid and then simply extend another card right here. Or if you don't want to do that, you can simply duplicate this card. So hit Ctrl D and then simply move it right here. Let's have them be at 10 pixels. I think that's fine. And because of the size of the artboard, let me quickly delete all of these icons. It's going to cover nicely right here at the bottom, so you don't have to do basically anything else. What I want to do next is simply jump in right here, hit Ctrl D to duplicate this layer, drag it outside, like so. And I'm going to call this, for example, tab bar BG. Place it right here at the bottom of my artboard, like so. And because we cannot see it, maybe I can make it a little bit darker like this. And it's going to basically cover up this because we want it to scroll. And what you can also do is extend this artboard to fill, but I'm going to show you that in the next video when we get to add some spice to this design. But for now, we can leave it like this. What we need right here are those icons. So let's quickly drag and drop them inside. So we need this home icon, place it right around here. We need a comment icon, place it right around here. We need a map indicator icon. And finally, we need a profile icon. So I'm going to position them right around here. Then I'm going to select all of them, turn off responsive resize, hold my shift key, and then simply reduce the size of them. Make sure they're all in the center. And I can click right here to evenly distribute them, same like we did in Photoshop, if you remember. Jump back into the layers panel, click right here, hit Ctrl G, and then call this tab bar. And that's basically it. We have finished everything. I'm going to move top bar right here, organize this a little bit better. And here is how our screen looks like. I'm now going to go ahead and create my other screens just to show you how easy it is to do in Adobe Xd. So this is our home screen. We are going to hit right here, Ctrl D. This is going to be our image open, or opened image, however you want. Because person can click and then open this image to see it a little bit better. Inside of it, we're going to delete this card because we don't need it. And this other card, we're going to rename it card 2. Sorry. And we can position it, I don't know how to type today. We can position it below card 1, of course. And let's see, I reduced the opacity accidentally. So here we have opened image, and what we are going to actually do right here, before we do, let me quickly select this. And maybe we can add a splash of color. Let's see, 3C6FF. If it does work, it doesn't. Let's add a darker color just to indicate that this is selected. Now right here, you can add the same thing right here. So I can delete this tab bar, Control C, Control V, and include this tab bars easily like that. For this card, what we're going to do is simply click right here and extend it. You can use responsive resize if you want, but it's going to divide all of these elements basically, which we don't want, especially because for these icons the responsive resize is turned off. So if I select them, so we have share, comment, heart, I can turn on responsive resize and then try to reduce everything a bit down. So it does work like this, but in order not to lose any time, you can simply select these like so, then select this text and then simply move it all the way down up to roughly around here, for example. Then BG, position it roughly to here, then select all of them once again. So like this, make sure they are 20 pixels up once again. Click on our image and then simply extend it. And now I'm going to select them once again like this, 20 pixels down, just so that we have even spacing, and then finally click on our image and extend it and position it into center like this. So that's what we have basically. You can see how easy it is to do in Adobe Xd. All you need to do is simply follow some logic and follow your sketches or ideas that you have in your head. And I really recommend, if you're doing this right here, just to experiment as much as possible. So basically, if you're not starting with paper wireframes and you're starting directly with Adobe Xd, I really recommend that you experiment as much as possible and to start just laying down some elements and see where it takes you. Next, what we need right here is write a comment. So I'm going to duplicate this PG, hit Control D, move it outside. This is going to be comment PG. I definitely cannot spell today. I'm going to move it roughly around here, for example. And then we can just leave it here. Maybe let's see, 70. I think that works fine. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Maybe we can move the entire image to here. 1, 2. And then finally, what we can do is click right here, Shift 1, 2, and then go right here and select this guide. Snap it to here, and then we are going to simply extend this BG to fit to here. Basically move everything 20 pixels up once again. So, or you can go the other way around if it's easier for you. You can do the same but with the bottom one. Let me show you that. So you can click right here, Shift 1, 2, and then simply extend it all the way down to here until it fits, and then simply select these inside, so these three, this, like so, 1, 2, then you can extend this down. So anyway, which is easier for you works well, because as I said, this is the process of experimenting. Nothing is completed, nothing is final, so basically it's all up to you. Now what we're going to include right here is we need this text. If you remember from our sketches, it's going to basically write a comment like so. Then we need 2 new icons, so I'm just going to jump inside our icons. I'm going to locate my smiley face icon. I think it's right here at the top. It is. So here it is. Control C, simply jump back right here. Hit Control V. I'm going to reduce the size just a little bit, same like I did with all these previous icons. Shift 1, 2, and then Shift 1, 2. I'm going to use this same color which I used for these previous icons, so simply picked it, and I'm going to call it smiley face, like so. And we just need the send icon right here, So let me quickly locate it and see where it might be located. Perhaps it's somewhere around here. Let's see, here it is. Let's use this one and simply jump inside, position that into place. And what you can also do is simply align it with your smiley face, like so. Make sure you have responsive resized switched off because we don't need it at the moment. Then simply position it into place like so. Shift 1, 2, and we're going to sample this color right here from the bottom, like this. That's basically it. We have finished our screen. Let's call this send. Select that smiley face, write a comment, comment BG. We're going to call this comments. Position it down at the bottom. And one final thing that we need is to include a back arrow right here inside of a top bar because we want to be able to come back. So I'm going to jump back into my icons. Once again, I will leave the link in the PDF file. So if you want to check out these icons, you can. Let's see where that icon is. Here it is. Let's just simply jump inside and see. Here it is. Hit Control C, Control V, and I'm going to move it all the way up like so. See where it is. And I'm going to simply position it like it is. Switch off responsive resize, then simply enlarge it just a little bit. Make sure it's in the center like so, like this. And I'm going to call it back arrow. Like this. I'm going to switch off the search, or you can simply delete it however you want. And that's basically it for this screen. Now the final screen is going to be a profile screen. So I'm going to maybe duplicate this one, for example. And what we need is, let's quickly delete everything from here, or maybe we can just leave the text, but because we already selected it, we can select it from here. So I'm going to simply drag and drop a profile icon right here. Make sure it's in the center like this. Or even better, I can do the same from here. Just give me 1 second. I can jump inside, profile and avatar, and Control C, click right here, Control V, there they are. And I'm going to simply extend it to be a little bit bigger. 1, 2, and then we can use these two, Control C, Control V, make sure they are center aligned like this, like so. Make sure they are in the center. And let's see what we have here is person name and perhaps location, like that. Make sure it's in the center. Let's have it be at, I don't know, 10. I think that works well. Yeah. Now what we need are some tabs. So what we can do is quickly include 3 lines like this, for example. Perhaps we can use this color, maybe without a border. Control D, make sure this is in the center. Control D, this is right here. And if you want to space them out evenly, simply make a rectangle. Then select these two, click in the center, position rectangle right here, select these two, make sure it's in the center, then delete this rectangle, and there you go. So basically those are your 3 tabs. It's going to be at 20 because this tab is selected. Let's give it a color. Let's give it a color of these icons. So you can go right here and you can jump inside and basically add your colors right here. Let's add a color for this icon as well. And once we are right here, let's choose this icon. Make sure it's this color. Choose home icon. Make sure it's this color because now we are at profile screen. And this is what I was saying. You can see how easy it is to multiply these and to edit them and so on. So this is going to be tab 3. This is tab 2. And this is tab number 1, and it is the one which is selected. So basically that can be your, let's say, gallery or favorites or communications or something like that. You have them in Twitter, Facebook, and so on. So what we need next is to include different images. So I'm going to simply drag a nice big rectangle, something like this perhaps. Next, I'm going to include my image icon, drag and drop it into position. Perhaps I can make it a little bit smaller, maybe like this. I'll choose to use this without a border and I will include this icon right here. Next, I'm going to group it. So this is going to be image BG. You can use the other image which we created before and include that if you want to, but I found this to be a lot simpler way. I will reduce the size just a little bit just so that I can be sure that I can fit 3 of them. Simply group them, call it image, and click repeat grid, and then simply populate 3 in a row like this. Make sure you reduce the spacing between them, click right here to position it in the center, and then simply extend all the way down however many as you want. And that's the great thing about Adobe Xd. It has all of these fantastic tools which are going to help you speed up the process of these tedious tasks, especially once you start duplicating all of these different things. This is going to be profile. And that's basically it for our wireframe. I hope that you can see how extremely simple it is to create these wireframes in Adobe Xd, because it has all of these different tools which are going to help you immensely once you start prototyping and start sharing with your client. You can add some hotspots, you can include different images, drop shadows and so on. And that's what I'm going to show you in the next video. So I'll see you there. Beauty of Adobe Xd is once you finished your wireframing, you can turn that up and move on to high fidelity wireframes, add images, add shadows, different colors and so on. And then on top of that, you can even include some movement by adding prototypes to your designs, and you can then share those prototypes with your clients, and then they can leave feedback so that you can know what you can improve. That's why I love Adobe Xd, because it's such a complete tool. Not only is it extremely easy to use, and I hope you saw that in the previous video, but you can also do all of these other things without ever leaving this tool, because previously you have to use multiple tools to do these multiple things, while in Adobe Xd you can do all of them without ever leaving the app. That's why I love it so much, because it saved me so much time. And when you're working with clients, especially on a tight deadline, it can be extremely important to do these things while saving as much time as possible on a project. So to get started, I will simply jump inside of here, and this is the wireframe that we previously created. I will select all 3 artboards, hit Ctrl D to make a duplicate of them, because I'm going to basically add some images and some color to them. Now let's jump inside and let's start adding some elements. So right here, let's include a name, for example, Jason Marcus, let's say, time of post 24 of April at, let's say, 3:45, something like that. And this can be also 24th of April, but let's say 3:48, maybe something like that. So this is the fresh post, this is the old post, and perhaps this can be even other person. So let's call it Maria, I don't know, Andrews. So just some random names. And you also have plugins for Adobe Xd, and you can also generate some of these random names to save you even more time. Now to include some images, I have some stock images right here taken from Unsplash, and when I drag and drop the image, you can see that it populates this, but I have to hide my profile icon, and you can see that it's now starting to get the shape. Let's include same for this person right here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose an image. Let me see right here. I have this folder of my images which I've taken online, and you also have a plugin for this. You have these plugins right here, so you can simply click right there and you can install all of these different plugins. Photo Splash will give you, for example, images from unsplash.com. It will populate your placeholders. UI logos are great because you can include all of these different images. Undraw is great because you can use all of these different illustrations and so on. And to discover plugins, simply click right here. You can discover all of these different plugins which they accumulated and collected for you. These are the essential in their view. So UI Faces is great because it can populate with these images. So I really encourage you to explore all of these different plugins. And let's now get back to our design. So we need the same person right here. So I'm just going to jump inside, copy this text and paste it here. I will also double click right here and paste it here. And let's use the description. But first I need to find the image which I'm going to include. So I don't know, let's see, maybe we can use some architecture images, for example, or some travel images. So let's see, I can include an image right here. I can simply drag and drop it in place. This particular one is from that2stockphoto.com. And it's great because you can find all of these different images which are free to use. But you can use images from Unsplash, for example. Or if you want premium images, you can go to Envato Elements, for example, and include images from there. So description of the image: bridge in San Francisco I saw from helicopter, like so. And then for this other one, for example, rock formation near San Francisco, because it's the same collection for these images. And for example, for this one, maybe we can locate this background. Perhaps I can include some corner radius. Let's include corner radius of 10, for example. You can see how that looks like, and maybe I can even include some drop shadow, and then go ahead and remove the border. When I click outside, you can see how that looks like. So it gives this nice bit of drop down shadow. And I can also jump right here, right click, copy, then jump right here and simply paste appearance, and it will give me the same look for the card right here. And I also want to do that right here, so it's going to give me the same look of the card right here. And we can also do that for the comment, so simply paste appearance, and you can see how that looks like. So basically it makes it look as it belongs right there. Now for the images, let's give them the same border radius, so 10, just add some spice to it. For example, this image 10, and we need to include that same image right here. Let me remove my image icon, and you can see how that looks like. All we need right here is this description, like so. And we also need to include this same image of a person that we did before. So let me quickly find it. Here it is. And simply remove my profile icon from it. And there we have it. Basically, now we have app forming, and we can also move on and include, for example, a color right here. So let's go ahead and sample some colors. So maybe we can use a color from that icon, like so. See how that looks like. It doesn't look that bad, but we need to turn these icons to white, same as with our logo. So maybe we can call this something like socially, for example, and maybe I can include some other font for it. Playfair display, bold italic, make sure it's white. See how that looks like. That works well. So this is just basically an example of what you can do with it, and you can simply hit Ctrl+C. Then jump right here, hit Ctrl+V, Ctrl+V, and I'm going to hide this top bar, delete this old one. Then I'm going to do the same here, but before I delete it, I want to be able to move this back arrow here. As you can see, I made a mistake and I included multiple of these, but it doesn't matter. I will include it right here. Then delete this top bar, like so. I'll bring it back, then simply turn my back arrow to white, and simply reduce the opacity of my search. And there we have it. We have our top bar looking nice and clean. Now for this one, perhaps people have clicked on this person and then they jump right here. So we need another image of that person. Profile. We are going to copy this right here. And for the location, maybe he's located in San Francisco, because that's where those images have come from. And because I'm going to copy and paste the same images, I'm going to replace this one. So let's use an image of London, for example, for this one. Maybe I can drag and drop it right here. And that's why I said this is great about Adobe Xd. You can simply go ahead and change anything that you want. And let's say something like London on a rainy, just so that we can populate some random text. Now for this, as you can see, we have a repeat grid. All I have to do is simply hide this first one, and then I can jump right here, drag and drop my images onto the first one, and it's going to populate with all of these different images right here. All we need to do now is simply add some tabs right here. And to do that, all I have to do is simply jump right here and, for example, copy one of these texts. Perhaps I can hit Ctrl D, position it right around here, make sure it's in the middle of these lines like so. And then let me quickly hide my tabs. And maybe we can write in favorites. Let's create a duplicate. These can be, for example, brand new. And let's create another duplicate, and this can be, for example, collections, let's say. And because we chose favorites, maybe we can jump right here and click on our color. And that's basically it. Let's now simply organize them. And if you remember the tip I showed you, simply select like so. Select these two, move it right here. Then position this right here, select these two, move it like so. I'm going to delete this one, and perhaps I can lower the opacity of these ones. Let's choose 5, for example. And I need some better spacing for these. So perhaps I can see this is 10, maybe 20. And then let's give it same, so 20, like so. And there we have it. If you want to bring those lines back, maybe I can choose the tab 1. And I can call it selector, for example. Adjust it just a little bit, maybe use 2. Make sure it's in the middle of my text, and perhaps move it just 5, let's say. And I can even reduce the width of it to here, like so, and then simply select this color to make it obvious that this is selected. And that's it basically for the designing part. You can see that in just a couple of seconds you can have something which is really appealing and something which looks really nice. I don't like this because it's this gray color, so perhaps I can turn it into white. See how that looks like. It looks good because we now have this background right here, but you can also add a line right here separating it, so top line, it will look even better. But for the sake of time and for this video, let's just have it be white because we have all of these background elements covering nicely. Now that we've done that, maybe it's time to move on to prototyping and simply add a little bit of integration and interaction to it. So what I can do is simply extend this. I can jump right here and then simply move it all the way down to here. Double click here until it reaches. So let's see, up to here. That looks great. I won't touch these two, and I want to do this because I want to make it keep scrolling. So what you need to do actually is bring it back until it aligns with this line, because this line is basically a cutoff line, like so. And now we can get to prototyping. So simply click prototype. And what we can do is simply click right here on this image. So when the user taps, it will open up this screen. So we have a trigger tap. So once again, when user taps, it will open up this screen. Transition, we will use auto animate, and that's why we had the same layers and same naming structure, because we want Adobe Xd to recognize what we did, and it will compare these two screens and then simply find differentiations between them and simply integrate a nice illustration there. You can use easing of easy in out and duration 0.4. I think it will work just fine. Now for this image, we can tap and we can transition. Maybe we can use dissolve, easy in out, because once user clicks right there, it will take them to this person's profile. We will have the same integration for here and also the same integration for here for this profile icon. So simply hover over it, click on it, and then simply drag and drop, and Adobe Xd will remember your last settings and it will basically show you the same settings that you already chosen. Now for this one, simply select it right here, and if you want to go back to home from here, you can simply do the same thing and it will take you back to home. And that's basically it for this. Maybe we can even include the same scroll right here like we did here, but I'm not going to bother you. You get the idea of it. One last thing I want to show you is here. So when we jump right here, we want to go back to home. So I'll link this, tap, transition, and instead of dissolve, let's use slide left, for example. And then I can click right here. And before I do, I just want to fix position when scrolling. So this is going to stay fixed. And once you get to the bottom of the page, it will be right there. And once we are here, we can do the same thing for here. So let's jump into design. I can extend it all the way down. And I can, for example, move it, let's see, 20 pixels, something like that. And I can simply hover right here, see where it is, and maybe I can cut it right here. And I'm going to jump back, bring it all the way to here, jump into prototyping, fix position when scrolling, and that's basically it. So now let's check out our prototype. Simply click right here. It will open up this page, and if I enlarge it, you can see that once we start scrolling, you can see how that looks like. So you can scroll and you can see that this stays fixed to the bottom. As you can see, you can scroll up and down. And when you click right here, you can see that this nice little animation is going to show. And when you click right here, it will bring you back. If you don't like this transition, you can use auto animate and it will auto animate it back basically. But I think this works a lot better once you slide left and right. And when you click right here, it will dissolve to the profile and you can scroll down basically. And once you click to home, for example, it will take you back to home. So that's how easy it is to use Adobe Xd, from the ideation process of it to the more complex designs and finally to the prototypes, which you can then share with your clients by clicking right here. You can create a link and then you can copy this link and send it to your clients. They can then leave you feedback on what you need to change, and that's basically your entire design process inside of one app. And that's why I adore Adobe Xd so much, because it gives you so many possibilities to work with your clients and to stay creative and to keep moving forward with your projects. I really hope you're going to try it. Check it out on Adobe's website. I will also leave the link for Adobe Xd in the PDF. It's free. You can use it for free forever basically, because they have the free forever plan. It just has a few limitations of how many prototypes can you share with your clients, and that's basically it. You can use it, start today. It's going to change your design career forever as it changed mine. I really adore it, and I cannot say that too many times because it's really true. So check it out. I really hope you will like it too. One final thing that I want to mention is exporting. So perhaps you want to share these images with your clients or with your team via email, via chats, via social media, however you want to share with them. So you can share it with the link, and I already mentioned that in the previous video. Simply click right here to create a link, then click here to copy the link and basically send them the link. They can leave you feedback with the comments, and they can pinpoint specific details of the wireframes that you want, that they want you to change. But what if you just want to export your images? You can simply click right here on the name of the artboard, hit Ctrl or Command E. This dialog will pop up and you can select the file format. So you can choose PNG, SVG for the web, PDF, and JPEG. Basically, if you want to share images, you can choose PNG or JPEG. If you want to share PDFs, basically click here. Or if you want to share SVG for the developers to use a piece of code, perhaps, then you can share it like that. Also, you can export specific parts of the design based on how you created them. So you can export design, it will export at 1x, basically original size. You can click web, and it will export 1x and 2x, basically original size and double that size, which is great for developers. You can click iOS. It's going to export at original size, double the size and triple the size because of the variety of different devices. And finally, when you click Android, you can see that you are designed it at, for example, 100%, which is your, let's say, original size, 75%, which is a bit smaller than the original size, and goes up from that. So basically these percentage points are basically that. So original size, then bigger, 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 and so on, and this is smaller. That's basically it for the exporting part. All you need to do is simply click export. It's going to export that image, and when I open up that image, basically with my image viewer, here is how it looks like, basically like any other image. And one final tip that I want to show you is when you have multiple of these artboards, and the chances are that you are going to have them in majority of your projects, you can simply select all of your artboards, hit Ctrl or Command E, choose these settings however you set them up, and simply click export. It's going to export all of those because I already have home one JPEG which I exported previously. You can hit replace, it's going to replace that image, and it's going to export all of your images. So that's basically it for this course, and basically it for the exporting. I really encourage you to play around with Adobe Xd, and I guarantee that you're going to love at least some of the features that it has to offer. Working with templates will allow you to finish the project faster, to charge more, and to deliver the files to the clients and to the developers as fast as possible. That's why templates are a fantastic solution if you are on a tight budget, for example, if you're on a tight deadline, or if you just want to have more projects done within a year and to earn more money. So here we are on a webdonut.net page, and this is my website and my company, and inside of my company we are creating these templates. As you can see, we have UI kits, UX kits, social media templates, we have social corner graphics, which is dedicated social media templates page. We also have the courses, and you are enrolled obviously in one of our courses right now. We have stock images, and we have other products. So we have all of these products in order to help designers evolve and to help them speed up their process and to finish their projects faster. So if I jump right here to the UX kits, which is basically user experience kits, we have all of these different products which you can purchase and use in your projects. And let's explore one of them, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is to create a page when you're creating it with a template. And let's use something like Bones Wireframe kit, for example. So here I am in Adobe Xd, and I'm just going to call this our wireframe. Let me quickly extend it all the way down like so. And I will jump inside and choose a template from our Bones pack. I will simply copy and paste it right here. I will position it to the top. And then I will simply move on with some other templates. So let's see, maybe I can use this one, for example. And you just have to align it with the previous one like so, and then simply move on and start building your wireframe. So you can choose from the variety of different elements, and let me quickly show you how those elements look like. So I'll just go ahead and position this until it aligns with my previous one. And here it is. For example, this is the features part of the Bones wireframe kit, and I just used this one. And you can see you can edit any of these. You can edit this text, you can edit these icons, you can change their colors and so on. And they are available for this particular product, for example, for Photoshop, Xd and Sketch. So you can use them however you want. Let me quickly select another one from here. So you can open as many of these files as you want, position here for example, and then simply start building, and you can explore however many of these templates as you want. You can reposition some of these elements. If you don't like it, you can simply delete it. Let me choose this one for testimonials, for example, and I think we have 10 different categories for this product, and you can use any of these categories obviously and reposition some of these elements however you want. Let me quickly position it here, and I can simply double click right here on my artboard, close it at the bottom, somewhere around here for example, and there we have it. As you can see, in less than 2 minutes I have something which I can show to my clients. For example, give them a feedback and say to them, okay, we have a nice, small, easy to use navigation right here at the top. Then we have a slider here. We have features, we have form where you can collect your emails, for example, for your campaigns. Then we have a slider right here below, and finally we have a footer. It doesn't need to look like this. It can look however you want. That's why you have 120 in this particular product, 120 different elements, as you can see right here, but we have other products, as you can see right here. It's not just our products. You can go to UI8, for example, and you can explore all of these products. You can go to browse and you can find wireframe kits, and you can search for these wireframe kits right here, and you can see they have variety of different wireframe kits, and I will leave the link in the PDF to everything I'm speaking of right here, and you can use any of these for your projects obviously, but my favorite is Envato Elements. Of course, here are our products here on Envato Elements as well. What this site basically does is you're paying one monthly subscription price and you're getting every single product which is located on this website. So if I jump to categories, you can see what they have from stock video, video templates, music, sound effects, graphic templates, which includes all of this which I'm speaking of. You have graphics, illustrations, templates, and so on. You have photos, even for web templates, you have WordPress themes. So every single thing that you can possibly imagine you have on this website. So if you're interested in a great deal, then you can jump to Envato Elements, pay for one monthly subscription, and then simply use whichever template you want. And as I said, here are our templates. And if I jump right here, they are not all located right here, but if you jump into graphics templates, because we simply have to save something for our website and make it exclusive, because we have a subscription here as well. And you can see how many of these different templates we have right here. And here is the Bones iOS wireframe kit, and there is also one for the web, which I was showing you before. And once you're finished with these, you can turn them into fully fledged prototypes and high fidelity prototypes. So you can simply drag and drop your images and include them inside, and let me show you that. So let's say I have an image and I want to include it right here. All you need to do is simply hit Control to select this layer, and you can jump right here to see the layer strategy. If I jump right here, you can see that everything is named correctly, everything is positioned as it should be on the page. Simply drag and drop your image to include it here, and as you can see, with just a few minutes of your time, you can convert this into high fidelity prototype. Obviously, then you can select this text and change its color to, let's say, this color, for example, just so that we can see it a bit better, maybe even this color, and then you can simply enlarge it if you want and position it to be a little bit cleaner to the eye and a little bit more appealing, let's say. Then you can jump ahead and extend this image to the top, for example, position it right in the center like so, and then we can locate our navigation, put it right here at the top, jump inside our navigation and simply switch off the background, and then you have this nice transition between the navigation and the background image, which is hero image, of course. So that's how easy it is to use these templates, especially our templates. And we really try really hard to work with our designers and our buyers to understand their needs and their wants in order to structure our future products even better than before. So as I said, you can jump to any of these websites, and I will leave the link in a PDF, and you can check out all of these websites and purchase any of these templates if you want to improve your workflow and to increase your speed. Thank you so much for taking this course. I really hope you found some value in it and that you're going to implement some of these tips and techniques that I taught you in this course into your future work. Just remember, if you're starting with paper wireframes, start slow, start small with the supplies you already have lying around your house. And then when you start getting bigger and bigger projects and bigger clients, then you can start improving and buying some more expensive equipment. For example, some of those fancy markers or thicker grading paper and so on. And when it comes to digital wireframes, just choose the software that you are most comfortable with. As I mentioned multiple times throughout the course, I'm most comfortable with Adobe Xd. I like Adobe Xd the best, and that's why I use it every single day. You can use any of those softwares which I showed you, or you can use any other software which I didn't show in the course. Basically, find the one that you are comfortable with, and then once you start to know all of these softwares, you can switch between them, because basically they're all very similar, and I hope you saw that in the course. Basically, all of them have layers. For example, they also have these moving tools that you can use to move your shapes around. Basically, every single one of them is similar. So when you learn one of them, you basically know all of them. All you need to do is explore a little bit. Also on the pricing, if you're not comfortable paying for anything, then don't pay for it until you are comfortable and until you think you need it for your projects, because that's the most important part. Why would you pay for something if you don't want to use it later? That's it for this course. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. I really hope I will see you in one of my other courses, and until then, take care and keep wireframing, because it's the most important part of the design process and it can be extremely fun when you get the hang of it. Take care. For your class project, I want you to create the same wireframe we did in the course, or a completely different wireframe, which I actually encourage you to do, and then save it out as an image and upload that image to your class projects. You can use paper wireframes, and you can use any supplies that you have around your house, so you don't have to have the same supplies I did in the video. You can use any supplies that you want. You just need to take an image with your phone, for example, and simply upload it to your class projects. Or if you're using digital methods, then you can simply save out the image of your final wireframe and upload it to the projects. I really want to see what you've done with all of these techniques which I taught you in the course, and I'm really excited to see your results and to see what you learned from this course. So I'm looking forward to your designs.
Welcome to the last part of this class, and right now we are going to finish our design with creating the simple cards that we are going to place to our board. So before we start designing our cards, let's quickly select our frame, and I'm going to activate back the 8 pixel grid for me just to see how I'm going to place my card with the tasks to do. So let's quickly zoom in. And I'm going to start with the to-do section, and I'm going to select the rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw a white rectangle right here. So I'm going to make sure that the margins fit basically to the left and to the right side of my elements that I earlier created. And I'm going to go immediately to the corner radius and change the value to 20. So I'm going to have the rounded corners for my card. And of course the color will be white. I'm going to also increase a bit the height of this element. And make sure that the space between the to-do title and my element is 24 pixels. So the next step is going to create the label for my task, and in this case I'm going to type a design system. So let's select this layer, and I will also change the fill to light gray and also the font weight to medium. And I'm going to make this label a bit smaller so it's not so obvious as the other elements that I'm going to create a bit later. And I also want to mark it with a color code. So I'm going to create quick layouts by holding shift, so my key values are basically the same. And I already prepared before the color palette that I'm going just to use the pipette tool right here. So when you activate it, it will highlight it with a light blue color, and I'm going to select, for example, a green color for this case. In the end, I will also select both of these layers and align them exactly in the center. So let's, for example, quickly group this part, and I'm going to make sure that my spacing between the top and the left margin is 24 pixels. So the next step is going to create a title, and in this case I'm going to create a hero section. So this is going to be the task, for example, some team has to design. And the header will have the font weight of 18 pixels, and let's also make sure that it's aligned with my label. So right here I'm going to move it a bit closer to the label, and the next step is going to be just to copy this hero section, and basically this is going to be our primary text where we are going to describe what the task is about. And I'm going to decrease the value of my font and also keep it to regular. So exactly my description is going to be spread through all the card, and just to make sure that the spacing is 24 pixels from left to right side. And right here, let me quickly type in some description. So this is just a simple text that I just came up with, and I'm going to also make sure that the spacing between the primary text and the title is 8 pixels as well. As well, I want my card to have also the settings, so I'm just going to select the earlier created settings icons, and I'm going just to copy it and place it next to my label. And of course, it's going to be also centered to the right side, the same as my primary text. So the last step is going to actually create small labels with initials of people who are going to be responsible for this task. And for that, I'm going to select again an ellipse tool, and by holding Shift, I'm going to draw a simple circle. And immediately I'm going to go to the stroke and add a simple stroke with white color that is going to be inside of the ellipse. And of course, by selecting fill, I will select again my pipette and go to my color palette and select one of the colors that I prepared earlier in this class. So as well, I'm going to create some initials of a person who is going to be responsible for this task. And by selecting both of these layers, I'm going just to center it exactly in horizontal and vertical position. And in that, let's just quickly group both of these elements. So I also am going to lower the position of this element by 16 pixels. And for example, I will also copy this element, and because I want, for example, 2 people to be assigned to this issue. So let's quickly go again to my color palette and change, for example, to this color. And right here, I'm going just to change the initials like that. And right here, I also want my ellipse to have 24 pixels of distance to the margin of this card. So I am going to simply increase the height of this white rectangle. So this is just a simple example of how we created our card. I'm going to disable the grid just to see how it will look like. So I think it looks quite simple, but also quite nice. And I'm going just to select all of these layers that I just created, and I'm going to group them together. And right here, just to finish off our design, I will copy this card and change the content in it so that in the end we can have quite a nice dashboard with the tasks. And here we go. It looks like an awesome dashboard that we just simply created for such a short time. Let's finally select our frame and see it in the presentation mode. So this is how we created our simple and very professional dashboard for task management for the project team. So guys, I'm really curious to see your work, whether you created a similar dashboard or a bit different one that you wanted to create for your portfolio or just for fun for yourself. Let me know and I'll be happy to give you feedback. And thank you so much for following this class, and I hope to see you in the next class that I'm going to prepare quite soon.